Hi, I'm Lisa Easton, and this is 514 North Tracy, so we're on the northeast side of Bozeman. My husband and I moved here almost 4 years ago, and we bought this old bungalow, and we did a gut remodel, meaning we took everything down to the studs, and then we worked with the city of Bozeman to get approved for changes that we made to the exterior of the house. And we had to get the okay from the historical authority in Bozeman so that the changes were approved, because this is a little historic district. It's called the North Tracy Historic District. So my background is in art, fine art, and art education, and I taught for 14 years. And I taught sculpture, which was my favorite thing to teach. And during that time, I learned how to weld, and I taught some welding in my classes at Great Falls High School. And then I just found that I had a real love for the practice of welding and fabrication. So all the things that we have built at this house, the functional items, are a result of that interest of mine. Our idea was that we wanted a very low maintenance but environmentally responsible landscaping or landscape plan, and we didn't ever want to mow another blade of grass for the rest of our lives. So it was really fortuitous. We found Solstice Landscaping in town, and they have a wonderful designer by the name of Errol Schumann, and he and I really just sort of hit it off. We had the same ideas design-wise, or we really worked well together, and so the idea of these rain gardens, which are meant to collect water from the roof of the house and direct it into plantings rather than let it go into the storm system, was something that he was really interested in helping us with. And so he designed the runnel system and the rain garden shape. So yeah, and then, well, the idea was to have raised beds, certainly, and to plant a lot of edible things. So a mix of vegetables mostly and some flowers. And and then leave room for some fruit trees, but also to provide a little screening from the neighbor's yard next door. Built those tall planters, and then these shorter beds for vegetables. And I use steel because steel heats up quickly in the spring, and you can you get a nice warm soil earlier. So it makes it kind of nice for planting. And then also they're pretty much rabbit proof, I think.
Yeah, they would be, wouldn't they?
Yeah, it doesn't seem like anyway that rabbits really bother the vegetables. So yeah, and then I wanted something that was kind of had a formal structure, like the design itself was kind of formal, yet the plants could be kind of wild and abundant. That was my sort of vision for it.
Yeah.
And then so it's called espalier, and I've actually seen a lot of examples around Bozeman of espaliered fruit trees. And I've always wanted to do it, and I really benefited from finding other folks, especially in Northside and Southside Bozeman, who are already doing it. And the idea is to grow your fruit trees in a flat plane so that you can really conserve space and work up instead of out. And it's said to be very productive for growing fruit. It was perfected in monasteries during medieval times. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I got these are pear trees, and then there are apples there, but it's kind of a scary thing to do. You get your little whip, your little, as young a tree as you can get, and then you plant it, and then it has no leaves or anything on it, and then you just have to take a deep breath and cut it. And I know. And then it sprouts these branches, these little buds, and you want to wait until they're mature enough that they won't break off when you handle them. I did break one off. But you also have to work with them when they're pretty pliable and young still. So then you spread them out, you clip out all but 3. So you have the 2 sort of arms of the espalier, and then you have the new leader of the tree. And so these trees will go dormant this fall, and then next spring, before they break dormancy, I'll clip them about a foot above this cable, and then the process will start again. Seems like plums do really well in northeast Bozeman. I think we have a nice little microclimate here that maybe is good for raising fruit trees, so certain fruit trees. So I'm looking forward to lots of plum desserts and some plum leather and other goodies from the plum trees. Well, this is a combination of fennel. I love cooking with it, and then celeriac. I kind of overdid it on the celeriac. If you've never had it, it's a really good bulbing, like a root vegetable that tastes a lot like celery, but it's like a tuber, and it has a dense texture. It's wonderful in soups and stews, and it stores well, so it's a fun crop to grow for winter storage. Wanted to have some grasses because they're tall and they provide a little bit of screening or privacy with the neighbors, and in these tall beds, so it's a nice linear element in the garden. And yeah, this is a feather reed grass. The variety is Overdam, it's called. And these are 2-year-old plants. I think they'll get a little taller than this. But you know how grasses provide movement and interest all year round. So that's why they're appealing to me. Yeah, so these are a variety of Italian shelling beans called borlato. And I could mention that I get most of my seeds from Johnny's seeds from Maine, and I believe these came from them. And they're a shelling bean, so I think we'll have some for dinner tonight. They're ripe, and you can eat them fresh, or I can let some of them dry, and then of course just cook them like you do any dried bean. But they're similar to a cannellini bean, the Italian white bean, or maybe even a Great Northern bean. Yeah, but it's nice to have them fresh because they taste delicious. Yeah, right. So this is, it's actually a Johnny's introduction from a few years ago called Sunshine Squash, and it's a Japanese kabocha squash, and it's got a real dense texture. It's wonderful, just roasted and eaten like you would any other kind of squash. It has beautiful, brilliant orange flesh, but also it makes great pies, and you can kind of treat it as a pumpkin as well. But it's really yummy. It's my favorite. So this is the exterior wall of my workshop, and I've built a trellis here, and I planted another favorite vegetable of mine. It's a climbing zucchini. It's called zucchetta, and it's got a nice dense texture. Here's an example of it right here. It's actually really great to eat when it's about this size.
Oh, you eat it quite small.
Yeah, it's super nice. It has a denser texture, not watery like some other zucchini. So yeah, the idea here was to just create an edible wall. So I have that, the squash, and then this year I grew some purple pole beans and some green ones, and just grew them all on strings that extend the length of the building here. Yeah, so we have some elderberries, 2 different varieties. One is a black one, and the other is this yellow one. And the yellow ones seem to be really thriving. The black one's not quite as much. But yeah, these 2-year-old plants are just reaching for the sky, which is great. And then down here, some Nanking cherries. And I got these from Reese Creek Tree Nursery. And interestingly, when I purchased them, there was one that had white blooms instead of pink blooms. It was kind of a mutant. And this year I got fruit from it for the first time. I don't see any more on here. But the fruit is a clear white fruit.
My.
Yeah, as opposed to the bright red Nanking that looks like that.
So is that like a pie cherry?
It's like a tart pie cherry. Once you eat one, you can taste it. But yeah, they're tart. Yeah, so these are service berries, and it's an ornamental species, but it's native. Also, you see service berries all around the mountains around Bozeman. In the fall, it gets a really brilliant color, and it also produces a little berry that birds love. Sometimes they're called June berries, I believe, and some people call them sarvis berries.